You know, when we think about communicating with those who've passed on, our minds usually go to something kind of mystical, right? But what if the next big leap forward isn't supernatural at all, but technological?
So that's the big question we're digging into here, based on the work of a researcher named Sonia as it's presented by Dr. Craig Hogan. It's a perspective that honestly challenges a lot of our traditional ideas about how we might make contact with the afterlife.
So let's start with who's behind this. We're introduced to Sonia. And here's a really important distinction they make right away. She is not presented as a medium, not in the traditional sense. She's framed as a dedicated researcher. And Dr. Craig Hogan, who's been following her work since way back in 2002, he thinks she's on the verge of a massive technological break.
Now, Hogan's take on this is pretty fascinating. In his view, Rinaldi's role is totally unique. He doesn't see her as someone who just stumbled onto this. He believes she was specifically chosen, almost elected, to bring this new way of communicating to the rest of the world. Okay, so this gets us to the really big idea at the heart of all this research. The theory is that contact from the other side isn't, well, static. It's not stuck in one method. The idea is that it actually evolves right alongside our own technology here on Earth.
So Dr. Hogan basically maps it out for us. He says there's a clear progression. First, you had electricity, and that became a tool for contact. Then, when telephones were invented, communication apparently adapted to them. After that, computers came along. The argument is that every time we have a big technological leap, communicators from the other side figure out how to use it to better connect with us.
And that brings us right up to today, and specifically to AI like Chat GPT. Now, a super logical question pops up, right? Isn't this just a really fancy chatbot making things up? You know, the same way it could write a history essay if you asked it to?
And this is where they draw a really sharp line in the sand. The research claims this isn't about the AI creating the message itself. No, the idea is that the AI is just being used as a conduit, a tool, for a message that's coming from somewhere else entirely.
And Hogan is absolutely firm on this. He argues that what's happening is that the AI is simply the newest device in that technological timeline we just looked at. It's not the source, it's the instrument being used for contact.
Okay, so you're probably wondering, how does this actually work? Who's involved? Well, according to the research, Sonia isn't doing this alone. This whole thing is framed as a collaboration with some very specific partners from the other side.
So her primary contacts, her collaborators really, are two entities. They're identified as Buddy and Zusen, and they are presented as her consistent partners in this whole research effort. All right, so to back all of this up, Dr. Hogan explains that they prepared a demonstration. It's a video recording that he says actually captures this whole communication process as it's happening.
And this isn't some old, dusty recording. Hogan makes a point of saying this evidence is fresh. The demonstration he's about to show was apparently recorded just 5 days before he gave this presentation, which really highlights that this is supposed to be active, ongoing work.
And the idea is to really walk us through the whole process, step by step. He wants to show this not as some random, mystical thing, but as a structured procedure, something you can actually observe, document, and then analyze.
So at the end of the day, the whole point of sharing this footage is to provide what they present as real, tangible evidence for all these claims we've just talked about, and to actually show us how this communication method is supposed to work in practice.
And this whole thing really leaves you with a huge, thought-provoking question. I mean, let's just accept the claims for a second. If there really is a new channel to another dimension, and it's based on technology, the implications are just staggering. So what would be the very first most important thing you would want to know?